now to Wisconsin, where the daughter for Zachariah Anderson and Sadie Beecham just took the stand. Let's go in live.
Back in the time period of April 24th of 2020, were you asked by anyone to spy on anyone else? During that time period, were you asked by anyone to spy on anybody else?
Yes.
Who asked you to spy on someone?
My dad.
And who did your dad ask you to spy on?
My mom.
And did you follow through on that in some ways?
Correct.
And so what sort of ways did you spy on your mom because your dad had requested it? Give me examples of ways you spied on her.
I was given a G6 Moto for my phone, and I was instructed to record every single time that my mother would get upset.
Who instructed you to do that?
My father.
And when you say record, you were using the phone to do that?
Correct.
And then after you made those recordings, did you provide them to anyone?
What do you mean?
Did you give them to anyone somehow?
Like, my mother found my phone and took it, if that's what you mean.
Did you transfer them to anyone or hand them over to anybody as well?
Well, when she found it, I had to give her my phone, but other than that, no.
Okay. So if the defendant's computer has some recordings that it appears you have made, do you know how he has those in terms of recordings of you and you recording using a recording device?
I'm going to object as far as speculation.
No,
I don't know that he's actually inviting your speculation. It is a question with a hypothesis that either will develop or not. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the question was, if you know, how would those end up on your dad's computer? How did that happen?
Well, it was my dad's phone originally, so of course he would eventually
Again,
get
I'm
his
going
phone
to,
back.
this calls for speculation, Judge.
Yeah, your first effort was fine. This one's not so good.
So her answer is he got the phone back. So okay. So I don't have any further questions about
Are
that.
you testifying? Or?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to ask that be struck.
The objection to your second
Sure.
question is sustained, and disregard the statement that the district attorney made to follow that. So go ahead.
Is the phone that you indicated you used to record, who do you know then had possession of it? Just the people you know then had possession of it after you used it to record?
My dad and my mom.
Okay. And I want to turn your attention now specifically to April 24th, 2020. So that would be the day and evening before your birthday, correct?
Correct.
Whose home did you stay over on that night?
My father's.
And do you remember what city he had a place in that you were staying at? What city?
Mequon.
And who else stayed there, if you recall?
Just me and my little brothers.
And how old were your little brothers at that time?
4.
And so it was you, your little brothers. Were there any adults at the home on that evening?
Evening? Yes.
Okay. Now what I'm asking is, when you were over there visiting on April 24th, other than the children you mentioned, were there any adults there with you?
Yeah, my dad.
Okay. And at some point in the evening hours of April 24th, going into the early morning hours of April 25th, did you leave the Mequon residence
I'm going
of
to
your
object
dad?
as far as leading.
Sustained.
Where, if anywhere, did you go other than the Mequon house in the hours of April 24th in the evening through the morning of April 25th?
My mom's house.
And how did you get there?
My dad drove me.
And other than you and your dad, who else went?
Nobody.
Okay. Okay, so you indicated that your 4-year-old brothers were on this visit. Where were they when you and your dad went to this other location?
Upstairs at the Mequon house sleeping.
They remained there?
Yes.
Okay, and where did your dad and you go?
To my mom's house
And where was your mom living at the time?
in Germantown.
And about how far a drive that was that, if you know?
15, 20 minutes, not too bad.
Okay, and about what time did you leave the house? What's your estimate on when you left the house?
I'm not sure exactly, but I remember waking up around maybe 12:53, 12:57, somewhere in there.
In the AM, the early morning hours?
Correct.
Okay, and so when you went at that time, what do you remember happening next?
We arrived at the house and we pulled into the parking, our driveway, of course, and he said to me, "No, we're not going to park here," and he backed out. And then he went into the bar parking lot, and there's ones that are in the back and they're closest to the house, and he gets out.
When you say he, who do you mean?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
He jumps onto the porch and looks through my mom's window with a camera.
Let me stop you. When you said jumps onto the porch, of what location?
My mom's.
And when you said he, who did you mean jumped on the porch?
Zachariah Anderson.
Then what happened?
And then he is looking through the window, recording with not a camera, like a phone recorder, but a handheld recorder.
Okay. Then
And
what happened next?
comes down eventually after a little bit, puts another phone into the air conditioner.
Okay, stop. Let me stop you. The air conditioner is located where?
On the side of the house that I was on.
Okay, why would, so the air conditioner is connected to what room of the house, if you know?
My mom's room.
Okay, and when you say puts it in the air conditioner, tell me more what you mean by that.
There was like an opening, so coming out from looking on the outside of the house, there was the air conditioner coming out and there was like a space around it. And it had insulation in there, like cushioning insulation, and the phone was put back far enough to see if there could be a recording of something.
And could you see that from where you were located?
Yes.
Okay, and where were you located when that was happening? When your dad was placing a phone recording device in the ventilation there?
I was sitting in the car.
Then what happened next?
And then he came to the car and asked me if I would like to see it, and I said yeah.
Okay, who's he?
My dad.
Okay, I'm going to refer to that individual as the defendant, just for purposes of our discussion.
Sure.
So, okay, so when the defendant came and back to the car, what happened next?
I said sure.
Okay.
And I went up with him, and we went to the window. We walked around the balcony this time, and we went up the stairs and we went to the window. And he looks at me and he says, "Before you do anything, go like this with your shirt to make sure that you don't get the breath marks on the window."
So I'd just like to have the record reflect that the witness, Your Honor, pulled their shirt up, blocking their ability to sort of breathe on objects, covering their nose and mouth.
Her, yes.
Okay. So then after you were advised of that by the defendant, what's the next thing that happened?
I saw I don't know how to refer to him.
Whatever you're comfortable.
Mr. Gutierrez, I guess.
Okay.
And I saw him sitting on the couch with my mother coming out of the bathroom. And I didn't think that it was gonna be this hard. They were listening to music and laying there together.
And doing what together?
Just laying there on the couch.
Okay. So what room are you looking into from where your vantage point is?
The living room. There was a space in between the curtains.
Okay, and what window of your mom's place are you looking through to be able to see into the living room?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're on the outside, correct?
Correct.
So which window? Is it a window that goes into the kitchen? Is it a window that looks directly in the living room? So what?
It's a window that looks directly in the living room.
Okay, and where is the defendant during that period of time?
Standing next to me.
Okay, and after you look in and see that, what is the next thing that happens?
We leave.
What? You leave?
We got back in the car and we were on our way out, and he didn't grab the voice recorder at first until he pulled out and pulled onto the road, and he stopped. He stopped right at the second entryway to our driveway and got out, took his sandals off, and went to the house.
So let me stop you. What footwear then was your?
He didn't have shoes on.
Okay, cool. Keep going.
He went into Mr. Gutierrez's car and took his registration and took a picture of his license plate.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, you saw that from where you were in the car?
yes, I personally saw that.
Then what happened?
And I saw him ring the doorbell, and then run back to the car and drive away.
Whose doorbell did he ring?
My mother's, but he also had grabbed the phone while he was somewhere in the time period from when he rang the doorbell, the phone was grabbed.
And which phone are you referring to now?
I'm the one that was placed in the air conditioner.
Okay. So after the defendant goes to Mr. Gutierrez's truck, takes a picture and takes an item out of the vehicle or takes registration, grabs back the phone, and he rings the doorbell, what does the defendant do next after he does those three things?
Comes back to the car with the phone.
All right? And then what happens?
Plays the phone.
Okay.
Of course, plays a recording on our way home.
Okay. And what, if anything, can you say about what you could hear on that phone recording?
Nothing.
Okay. So where do you guys go next?
Back to my dad's house.
Okay. When you get back, what happens next?
I walk in. He tells me to get some sleep. I then was sitting downstairs and thinking about what just happened, because I was a little like, did I really just see what I saw, what I just witnessed? And it was fine after that, I guess. And
so let me ask you, what did the defendant do next that you saw? So after you guys got home, what happened next, if anything?
he dropped me off and then he left again.
Okay. And you were not with him at that time?
No, I don't remember what time that was. We got back around 3 though.
Did he tell you what he was going to do next before he left?
No.
Okay. So now, if I understand you, by now it's 3 a.m. on your actual 12th birthday.
Yes.
Okay. Can you indicate what, if any, plan was ever suggested to you to try to get your mom in trouble?
Yes.
What plan was suggested?
The plan was for, now this might be a little confusing. The plan was for my dad to drive me and my little brothers to the house, and then...
To whose house?
My mom's house.
Okay.
And then he would put the boys to bed, and he would drive all the way back to his house, call the cops from there, and say, my daughter just called me, and I would have to call my mom, but not make it ring. So I had to call her, but the phone wouldn't be able to ring. It just had to ring on my phone to prove that that her phone was called. Only on my end, though. So it would show that I had called her several times and she didn't answer. So that's the look.
Who was supposed to do that? Who was supposed to do that part of the plan? Okay, and is this on a day that you wouldn't have been at your mom's house?
No, this would have been a day where I would have been at my dad's house and my mom would be out.
Okay.
And the plan was basically to call the cops and say how my mom abandoned us.
All right.
And how I had to call my dad.
Okay. And who suggested this plan?
My dad.
And when he suggested this, what age were you?
10, 11?
And so I want to take you back to a time period before that April 24th birthday time period and ask, was there a time in the month of March of 2020 when your mom went on vacation without you?
Yes.
And during the first nights that your mom went on vacation, where were you going to stay? What was the plan on where you were staying?
I would stay at home at the house with my aunt.
Okay, and who was taking care of you?
My aunt.
And who's that?
Becky.
Becky? Okay. And do you know, is Becky actually related to you or just a close friend of your mom's?
No, she's like my mom's sister, though. So she's not really my aunt, but...
But you call her that?
Yeah.
Okay. So she was staying overnight with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And during the time period that Becky was staying with you guys overnight in your mom's house, did something happen that caused you to be either disturbed or alarmed on a particular time?
Yes.
So if you can you tell me about what time of day? What's your best estimate on what time of day that happened?
It was pretty late at night. I mean, it was more like early morning. It was really, really, really early in the morning.
Okay. So can you give me an estimate on what time?
Maybe between 2, 3, and 4,
Okay.
somewhere.
And if you know, was it a school night?
Yeah.
Okay. And were your 4-year-old brothers also at the residence?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened at some time between 2 and 4 in the morning at your residence that caused you to be disturbed? And I'm only asking about what you personally had happen.
Okay. I remember kind of waking up to footsteps up the stairs.
Okay.
And then I kind of drifted back off into a sleep, and then Dad was standing at the side of my bed, and he was like, "Get up for school, let's go." And I was like, "What?" And I was really confused, and then I was like, "Okay," because at that time, what am I gonna do? I mean, my parents telling me to get ready at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I don't really know what the point of it was, but he had made breakfast.
So what time did you eat breakfast on this particular day in March of 2020?
I don't know, we had French toast and eggs, and the time wasn't very clear.
Was it before 4:30 in the morning?
Most definitely.
Okay, and you ate, who else ate?
My 2 little brothers.
And how did they happen to get up and have breakfast at that time on a school day?
My dad came into our rooms and woke us all up.
Had you been expecting your dad in any way, shape, or form to arrive?
No.
Okay, so let me ask you, if we get to a point where you on a Sunday go to the family tree farm, do you remember that?
A little, yeah.
Okay, and what vehicle got you to the family tree farm?
The van.
And is this a regular vehicle you have that you know of, that you are familiar with?
Yeah.
So who usually operates that van?
The defendant.
Okay, and if you saw a picture of that van, you'd recognize it, you believe? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you a picture up on the screen in just a second.
So it states Exhibit 1.
And this is State's Exhibit 1, number 254. And I'm just asking if you think you recognize this vehicle.
Yes.
Okay, whose vehicle is that?
The defendant's.
Is that the van you were mentioning?
Yes.
And so who went in that van to the tree farm, if you remember? Again, I'm talking about on a Sunday, May 17th.
Me, the defendant, and my
I'm
two
going to
brothers.
object that you just said Sunday, May 17th.
Oh.
I apologize. What? Yeah, I So on that weekend,
Okay.
apologize. On that weekend,
There's an objection.
yeah, I'm altering the question. So I'm,
Well, what weekend are you talking about?
what? I was about to say.
Specify the weekend.
Yep. On the weekend of May 16th and May 17th, okay, of 2020, you went to the tree farm, correct?
Correct.
And you went in that van.
Correct.
Who drove it?
The defendant.
And if you recall, what were the state of the seats in the van?
There were 2 middle seats, 3 back seats, and 2 front seats.
Okay. And do you remember which seats were in on this particular weekend?
Yeah.
Do you remember? So if you remember, which ones?
All of, well, not the middle ones, just the back ones and the front ones.
Okay. And who on the trip to the tree farm? Where did you come from? So what residence did you come from to drive to the tree farm?
My dad's house.
Okay. And so where were the twins in that van?
The back seats.
And where were you?
And the front seat.
Okay. And do you remember any items that your father, that the defendant also put in the van?
Just a chainsaw.
Okay. And so was that in the van as well?
When?
When you went there?
Yes.
Okay. So about, if you know, approximately how long were you at the tree farm? About?
4 hours.
Okay. And during the time you were there, did you, what if anything did the defendant borrow from anybody else?
I'm going to object as far as foundation. He just asked that, what did Mr. Anderson borrow?
What, if anything, he said, did Mr. Anderson borrow?
Correct, and so I'm objecting as far as foundation for that question. Hasn't been established what she was doing at the tree farm, who she was with, what she had the opportunity to observe. That's just the objection.
Well,
So what, if anything, did the defendant borrow while at the tree farm that you were present for?
Just my grandfather's boots.
Okay. Are those work boots?
Yes.
Okay. And ultimately, where were those work boots when you guys left the tree farm?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you tell law enforcement at some point that the boots were brought home with you guys in the van?
Most definitely.
Okay. So when you came home from the tree farm, what transportation did you use to get home?
The van.
And who drove?
My dad.
And was there any difference in who was seated where?
No.
So on that weekend of the 16th and 17th, did you have an opportunity to see how the rug was in the back of this van?
Yes.
Carpeting, okay. So I'm going to show you a picture. And this is picture what?
States Exhibit 1-260.
So this is Exhibit 1-260. Do you notice that there's something cut out in the van in this picture?
Yes.
And was that area cut out when you and your little brothers went to the tree farm on the weekend of May 16th and May 17th of 2020?
No.
Can I show a picture with the stains? I'm going to show you another picture. When you were in this van on the weekend of May 16th and May 17th, what, if any, smell of bleach did you smell in that van?
No, and those stains were not there either.
So you see some stains on this picture, and again, this is Exhibit?
States Exhibit 1-257.
So those stains were not on the van.
No.
When did you last see the van where you looked inside it? Was it on the Saturday or the Sunday, if you remember?
No.
Okay. Just on that weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last time you saw that van, in terms of the interior of the van, was when you came back from the tree farm? Or did you guys go elsewhere after that, if you remember?
No, we just stayed at the house and waited for Mom to pick us up.
Now, so on that Sunday, did the defendant drop you off at your mom's, or did your mom come and pick you up, if you know?
No, my mom came and picked me up.
And when your mom came and picked you up, do you recall what the defendant was wearing in terms of outerwear? Do you remember that?
Yes.
So we're going to show you State's Exhibit 42. So first, can you first tell us what you remember that he was wearing? Please, before you show it.
He was wearing a white tee with jeans, sandals, his usual, and a blue flannel.
Okay. So I'm now going to show you what's been marked as, one more time, State's Exhibit.
42.
Can you make that a little smaller? Thank you. Do you recognize what that's a picture of in the context of this case?
Yes.
What is that?
My dad.
Okay. And in terms of what the person is wearing, what the defendant's wearing, is that familiar to you based on what you've said today?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
His blue flannel jacket.
Okay. Is that the same blue flannel that you're saying that he was
I
wearing?
saw on that day, yes.
Okay.
No, but I didn't even realize either, and I like released it.
During this time period, when you were at the tree farm in that time period of mid-May of 2020, what, if anything, can you say about whether your father was discussing a boyfriend of your mom's?
Yes.
Okay, so when you saw the defendant, how often during that time period? So let's start from like March of 2020 until this tree farm visit. How often when you saw him would he discuss with you your mom's boyfriend, or this person that might be your mom's boyfriend? How often?
Pretty frequently.
And what did he call this new person in your mom's life? Did he have names that he called him or not?
Yes, there were, but it would be disrespectful for me to say them in this courtroom in front of his mother.
So I'm asking that you say the names. So what if any names do you recall specifically? Thank you for telling us that. But did he say, if he did he explain to you why he was calling Rosalio Gutierrez, or this person, the new boyfriend of your mom's, booger?
Well, of course, the first one is because of,
I'm asking about Booger.
well, when he looked through the window at my mom's house on the morning of my birthday, he saw him apparently pick his nose and wipe it on my mother's couch. And so it was a thing for a while that we wouldn't sit on the couch. It was really just, it was a very odd situation, I guess. I don't
Hey.
know how to explain it.
And after that time, was how often was the name Booger? Did it come from from the defendant's mouth talking to you?
It was used in a joking manner if he was joking around about it, but other than that, it wasn't very used.
Okay. And did your, what if anything else did you hear about about whether the defendant planned
I'm going to
on?
object to leading.
Well, it's.
I have to get her there somehow, Judge. I'm not, again, I'm not.
Leading is not among the permitted methods ordinarily, except in exceptional circumstances. He hadn't finished his question though, so I don't know where he's going. So you can finish your question.
What, if anything else, did the defendant say to you?
And we are going to let him finish that question on the other side of this break that we do have to squeeze in, but don't worry, we are hitting the pause button. We'll get you back into the courtroom for this all-important testimony from the daughter of the defendant. Don't go anywhere.